like to ask a question about the last 8 years of the Roberts Court. And let me say, Sherrilyn's right, that in terms of the controversial, it has been 5-4. But I go back to his confirmation hearing, where he was brilliant, and he claimed that he would be an umpire, calling balls and strikes, and would not overturn law. He had some very interesting things to actually say about the Voting Rights Act. Do you all think, Neal, Cheryl, and Ted, that he has followed what he said in his confirmation hearings?
So that we can get a lot of questions in the short time, I'm going to just direct it to individuals. And Neal, you talked about Roberts in your op-ed. What do you think about that?
So, I mean, I hold the chief's chair at my law firm, so I might be a little biased on this. But I do think that that the chief has done a good job. And the best example of this is the Affordable Care Act. Who would have thought, watching those confirmation hearings, that John Roberts would cast the deciding vote to save President Obama's health care plan and indeed perhaps his presidency? I do think that took remarkable courage and was a vindication of the promise. Now, obviously, in those hearings, he said a lot of other stuff, and he's been true to it on things like affirmative action and race neutrality, on campaign finance and the First Amendment. So we're going to see a divided court for years to come, but there have been some, I think, unexpected developments along those lines.
You know, just in the interest of debate, I think I should ask Sherrilyn whether you agree.
How do you know I don't agree with you?
I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
I would say the following, that, well, first of all, the statement itself, you know, is subject to a lot of criticism that we don't really have time for. I would say that where I find most of the distress about Justice Roberts and what he's done is, you know, I think we very often don't look to the breadth of power that the justices have. And it's not just about deciding the cases, it's about deciding which cases to take. It's about deciding whether or not you're going to change the question presented in a case to turn the case into one that you want to decide rather than one that was really in contention between the parties. It's whether you're going to invite parties to tee up an issue that you care about hearing. It's whether you're going to decide to ignore the record. You know, let me just say something for, you know, Supreme Court litigation is a wonderful thing and it adds great luster to all of our careers. But speaking as someone who also cares about being a trial lawyer, what trial lawyers do is they create a record. They educate the court about the things that the court doesn't know. And where I think I fault Justice Roberts the most is in lacking the humility to recognize what he doesn't know. I don't think Justice Roberts knows that much about race. I would like, in the course of litigation, not through a speech, but through the presentation of evidence, to be able to present him with what he doesn't know and to have him accept that he doesn't know, and to have him weigh that evidence. I don't think he did that in the Shelby County case. I don't think he was willing to accept the evidence that was in the record. He had his own view about race and voting rights. So I don't think that's being an umpire calling balls and strikes, nor do I think that is really the best way that a judge can use their power. Because at the end of the day, you're the 800-pound gorilla, you're the judge, you get to decide. But you know, we lawyers, we're not potted plants. We're there for a reason. We're there to present evidence and to educate the court. And what I would like to see more from the Roberts Court, particularly from the conservative justices, and that includes Roberts and Scalia, Alito, and so forth, and particularly as it relates to issues of race, because I'm being honest with you, I don't know where their expertise on race comes from, but they seem to think they have it. And I think it would be really useful for them as judges to listen